I'm super fired up today, so if I, blow any of you back, just sit tight. I'm gonna hopefully have some fun with you. Portland, holy shit. All right. So my wife works for an organization that fights every day to get innocent people out of prison. And Hurricane Sandy hit the Northeast last year, 2 years ago. My sister-in-law recalibrated her whole life to help the families in need. My parents, my sister, have a deeply rooted history in Jewish communal service. I give sneakers to celebrities. All right. I know, it sounds funny at first, but really there's a red thread that ties us all together, and it's that we've all become instruments of our passion. And my reality today is constructed around the same stuff I was passionate about as a teenager. For me, it always comes back to, would the kids I used to run with be cool with this? And by sticking to the things I was passionate about my whole life, no matter the consequences, my life has been an extended crash course in failing forward. The most common question I get is how to get from here to here. And the answer is, to propel my life, I had to allow myself to fail in order to pursue the things I really believed in. So my idea for today is, if you know who you are, be who you are and permit yourself to fail. The key is simply to never give up. Every kid growing up has stuff they're passionate about: skateboarding, video games, whatever. My three loves as a kid were basketball, sneakers, and hip hop. Between the shoes I begged my parents to buy me and my brother's hand-me-downs, I was always fresh, including today. Basketball taught me my skills, like to accept them where they were, where I was good, where my limitations were. And it also taught me to sort of trust my instincts. I learned that through basketball. And hip-hop was born at the same time as I was forming who I was as a teenager. It immediately became a part of my DNA. The first time I heard It's Like That by Run DMC in 1985, I was transfixed. It was like all of my musical influence, yes, Run DMC, God bless. It was like all of my musical influences colliding together to form this completely new but still very familiar sound. And it was the rebelliousness of the music and the messaging and the sonic nature of the music itself. I immediately felt a deep, deep connection to it. I wanted to be the next Jam Master Jay. If I wasn't shooting hoops in my parents' basement, in my parents' driveway, I was in their basement making mixtape after mixtape on my crossfader with my Technique 1200s, which is the DJ turntable of choice back when I was DJing. And Dad, I know you're here. This is what the basement looked like while I was in high school. You never came down there, but it's all good. And yeah, we would just make mixtape after mixtape, and me and my friends would just drive around the city looking for stuff to get into and kind of like talking about hip-hop culture and all that. And like every Jewish kid growing up in the 80s, in the suburbs, I fancied myself as the unofficial fourth member of the Beastie Boys, as you see here. And I showed that picture to a friend of mine recently, and he was like, "Is that the hat Eddie Murphy was wearing in Golden Child?" And I was like, "No, that's my hair. That's my hair." Anyway. Very quickly, life accelerates, right? We go to school, we start thinking about degrees, what we're gonna major in, getting real jobs and all that. And society and the education process train us to focus our skills on career skills, career success, things that will bring us success in what we wanna do in our jobs. And we start to prioritize the mores. Anything starts with the word more. More money, more power, more title, more cars, more house, whatever that is. And we even start to call the things we used to be passionate about distractions. And we label them with negative words like that. They're hindrances to our growth all of a sudden, these things that drove our lives. And yet it's still on each one of us to figure out how to lead more meaningful lives and actually have a true sense of character. I'm living the tomorrow I always dreamed of because I gave myself permission to fail, and I never gave up. So today I'm gonna tell you 3 stories about how not only I stepped in dog shit, but but I danced in it. And then I wiped my shoes off, and I got right back after it, and I ended up in a better place. So, you get that? I went to Wisconsin, the hip hop, the woo. So, during college, most of my friends were focusing their energy on what people do during school, which is the classes that will actually, will point toward their careers, and they're doing internships and all that stuff. When I wasn't attending class, I pursued those things that I was passionate about. I invested deeper in them. And my first 2 years of school, I DJ'd frat parties, off and on, pretty much every weekend. My junior year, a buddy of mine and I formed an LLC called Big Tracks, and overnight we were concert promoters. And we targeted bringing an up-and-coming hip-hop group at the time named Cypress Hill to Madison, Wisconsin. And everybody doubted us. Even the venue that we were going to do it at was like, you're crazy, this will never sell. And despite the naysayers, we were, determined. We wanted to go all the way. So we took that great plunge. We went, and we just tried to go for it. The day the tickets went on sale, the venue called us and said, you guys are never going to believe this. You completely sold it out. Day one. We were elated, right? We were just top of the moon. And a month later, Cypress Hill shows up, and it was a venue probably about half the size of this one, maybe like 1,500 people. And they crushed it. The energy there was amazing. It was insane. And, when you're riding that, you're just so high from that experience. And we lost every penny. Every penny. And when we got the news, my partner turned ghostly white. I thought he was going to puke. But I think my passion for what we were doing and what we had just accomplished numbed me to the pain that he was feeling. And because my immediate reaction was like, yeah, we did it. I'm like jumping around. It was the best day of my life. We had just made history in my mind. And he looked at me like I had 4 heads. I mean, had he known the degree of risk that we were getting into, he probably wouldn't have pursued it. But for me, I had, from the onset, no expectations. It was about the process of doing it and actually being a part of the culture. And nothing could deflate that confidence that I had in myself that we were doing exactly what we were meant to be doing at that moment in time, right there and then. And that experience benefited me more than any financial reward ever could have. I entered that process as a junior in college, and I exited it an MBA. And that failure only emboldened me for our next show and my passion and confidence in what we were doing. And so in the true spirit of failing forward, not only did we sell out our next show again, but this time we actually figured out all the mistakes we'd made the first time around and made a little bit of money on the next one. And, I bet there's a lot of people in this room today who would actually pay money to see that lineup tonight if they were in town. So in 1993, I bought my first Subaru, and I put 40,000 miles on it in the first 3 months I owned it, hitting the Midwest as an independent sales rep. And when you're in sales, you target the largest accounts in your territory. So naturally, I had somebody that was like my bullseye that I had to get with. And I called the buyer there every day for 2 months, and she would not call me back. I left countless messages, nothing. I didn't even need to talk to my friends that were, I was still living in the Midwest then. I didn't even need to talk to my friends about it because I knew they'd clown me for not going all the way and getting that appointment. It was like a no-brainer. I had to go. I had to figure out a way to do it. And being disciplined wasn't working. So what did I do in all of my infinite wisdom? I called the VP of this store and left the same message I'd been leaving for the buyer for the last 2 months. And then at the end, I slipped in the fact that she hadn't called me back in 2 months. And sure enough, 30 seconds later, the phone rings. And it was the buyer, and she was heated. She eviscerated me. But the whole time, while she was yelling at me on the phone, all I was thinking was, as soon as she takes a second to breathe, get the meeting. That's it. And sure enough, we landed a 20-store test after the first meeting. Soon enough, we're in 120 of their stores, and quickly they became this company that I was repping, one of their largest accounts. Anyone, and I mean anyone who's ever tried to sell anything to anyone knows rule number 1 is do not make the person you're trying to sell something to hate you. And the quickest way to get someone to hate you is by going above their head and getting them in trouble with their boss. But my passion for what I was doing gave me license to make those mistakes. I tried it the way everyone said to do it, and then I had to go my own route because to me, it had to get it done. It was just in me. I was like, not going to let it go. And I went all the way, no regrets. Because when you're pioneering a movement, you adopt a mindset that you don't have to be perfect to get other people to embrace you. You embrace your flaws, and you manage through them, and through that, you inspire others to get on board. And I took the risk my competition wasn't willing to take. And if I'd done it the right way, I don't know. I'd probably still be waiting for that call. Almost a decade later, I landed a role for a brand I landed a role that lives at the convergence of all the things I grew up loving: basketball, hip hop, sports, for a brand that only benefits from that passion. And I now get to pioneer groundbreaking ideas with some of the most innovative creators of our generation, and that some of them are from the exact field that inspired me to get into this in the first place is surreal and awe-inspiring. But that has not stopped me from making enormous mistakes in this role and learning from them to fail forward. 2 years ago, an email went out to my company, and it said, Ricky Rubio, NBA player, will be in the office next week for an autograph signing, welcoming him to the Adidas family. So I, being a huge basketball fan, and having Ricky Rubio on my fantasy team at the time, tweeted that, welcoming Ricky Rubio to the family. Within 2 seconds, I was like, I've never seen anything like this on Twitter. If you're a real celebrity, you probably do see stuff like this, but it was off the Richter scale of mentions, RTs, and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, all the sneaker blogs that I'm friends with around the world started screen grabbing that and posting that and crediting me as saying, Ricky Rubio is officially a member of Adidas. And minutes later, USA Today grabbed that too, and I think, and then it was just like everywhere. And all that happened in less than 5 minutes. And then my phone on my desk rang. And it was our PR team, and I remember answering the phone like, did I do what I think I just did? And and there was like a really long pause. It was crickets. And they confirmed I had just leaked proprietary information, and yeah, I'd undermined all their work. And this mistake is so loud that if you were to Google my name today, a picture of Ricky Rubio pops up. Now, everybody from the oohs and ahs knows, needless to say, I was not like everyone's favorite that day in the office. Definitely was keeping my head down, and people nodding their heads, and maybe had a social media faux pas too. But I emerged from this enormous blunder as a known sneaker community news source. And so ever since then, ever since then, I've utilized that to kind of create love for what I work on and to spread that love and hopefully influence people to turn themselves into advocates for us 140 characters at a time. Some people work all day trying to get innocent people out of jail, prison. Sorry, Amy. Others help hurricane victims. For me, my love for sneakers is what gets me up in the morning. Regardless of field or endeavor, the people who don't give up will be the people who cut through and make a difference. If you follow your passions with unrelenting determination and permit yourself to fail, the tomorrow of your dreams awaits. Evel Knievel once said, a man can fail many, many times, but you're only a failure if you don't get up. Trust in yourself, give yourself permission to fail, and start making some mistakes. Peace.